The hero you are waiting for will never arrive. Let this statement land not as a sentence of despair, but as one of absolute liberation. It is not a declaration of abandonment, but a declaration of your innate sovereignty. The hero you envision, that perfect mentor, that fated partner, that singular event that will finally grant you permission, validate your worth, and solve your intractable problems, is a phantom. A ghost you chase down corridors of hope while the real power lies dormant. It is a titan sleeping in the marrow of your own being, awaiting your command to awaken. From our first fairy tales to our most celebrated modern epics, we are born into a mythology of rescue. We are taught to admire the knight who slays the dragon, the mentor who discovers the prodigy, the leader who promises a new dawn. This grand, sweeping narrative conditions us to identify with the one being saved, not the one doing the saving. We learn to be the prize, not the champion, the passive object of a heroic verb. Our private thoughts become a litany of if only, the prayer of the perpetual passenger. Most people live their entire lives in this state of hopeful waiting. They are spectators in the grand theater of their own existence, cheering or jeering from the stands but never daring to step onto the field themselves. They scan the horizon of their future, looking for a cavalry of circumstance that never crests the hill. They believe that true agency, the power to enact meaningful change, belongs to someone else, somewhere else, at some other time. This is the great myth that keeps humanity in a state of self-imposed adolescence. It is the most elegant and insidious prison ever designed, for its walls are forged not of stone, but of belief. I promise you that if you stay with me through this exploration, we will do more than just observe this prison. We will dismantle it, brick by brick. You will be handed a new philosophy, a master key forged in the fires of self-realization. I call it the author's mandate, and it is a clear formula that will shatter the illusion of the external hero. It will shift you, fundamentally and permanently, from being a secondary character in your life story to its sole, sovereign, and heroic author. It is time to stop reading the story of your life and begin, at last, to write it. Part 2. The Anatomy of the Cage. The greatest and most tragic lie ever sold is that the geography of your past dictates the horizon of your future. The insidious paradox embedded within this lie is that the more you believe it, the truer it becomes. Every time you point to your history, your upbringing, or your lack of connections as the definitive reason for your present reality, you become the co-signer on your own sentence. You are actively participating in your own captivity. This is not a judgment. It is a diagnosis of the human condition in its default state. To blame the world is to cede control of your world. This prison of circumstance is not a cold, remote concept to me. I have lived in its deepest cells. I know its scent, the texture of its walls, the hollow echo of its despair. My late 20s and early 30s were not a vibrant ascent, but a long, slow erosion against the gravel of my own perceived limitations. My first significant business venture had collapsed under the weight of my inexperience. It wasn't just a financial failure. It felt like a verdict on my soul. The world, it seemed, had declared me not enough. In the aftermath, I became an architect of excuses and a connoisseur of blame. I waited for emails, for a mythical mentor to see my hidden potential, for a lucky break, so cosmically perfect it would negate all my previous failures. I consumed books and seminars not to build myself, but to find the secret someone else possessed. I was a hunter of external solutions, and my internal narrative was a well-rehearsed loop of justification. The market was bad. My partner let me down. I just didn't have the right connections. I curated this story of failure until it became a comfortable, well-reasoned identity. Protected me from having to take another risk. After all, if the game is rigged, why play? This is the seductive comfort of the victim narrative. It absolves you of responsibility. The turning point, the revelation, came not in a thunderclap of insight, but in a moment of profound, suffocating stillness. I was 30 years old, sitting in a sparsely furnished apartment, staring at a stain on the wall. The phone was silent. My inbox was a tomb. The grand narrative I had been waiting for was not materializing. In that crushing quiet, a thought landed on me, not like a gentle feather of inspiration, but like a leaden anvil of truth. No one is coming. The cavalry isn't on its way. The mentor is busy with their own life. The universe is not conspiring to rescue me. There is only the set, the silence, and the stark, terrifying, and ultimately liberating realization that the script was blank. The inkwell was full, and the pen had been in my hand the entire time. That day, the inmate began to draft his own pardon. Part 3. The author's mandate, the 5 tenets of self-creation. From that crucible of realization, a new philosophy began to form, my operating system for reality. This is the author's mandate. It is not a set of life hacks. It is a fundamental reorientation of your relationship with yourself and the world. Its central premise is this: your life is a sacred text, and you are its scribe. Your circumstances are merely the setting. Your primary duty is not to curse the landscape, but to forge the hero who can conquer any terrain. Your internal world, your philosophy, your resilience, your discipline, is the engine of the narrative. To focus on the external world is a distraction. To focus on the engine is everything. Let's break the author's is the source of your freedom. Your past is a set of published chapters. They inform the story, but they do not dictate the ending. You must learn to honor them, learn from them, and then turn to the clean, white, glorious expanse of the next page. 2. The sanctity of the inner narrator. The author is fiercely protective of the protagonist's internal monologue. Your self-talk is the incantation that summons your future self. Is it a voice of criticism, doubt, and fear? Or is it one of courage, resilience, and self-compassion? Most people allow an inner critic, a ghostwriter from their past, to narrate their lives. The author's mandate demands that you fire that ghostwriter. You must consciously choose your inner dialogue through rigorous practices like mindfulness and journaling. This is not about feel-good platitudes, but about narrative control. You are scripting your character's thoughts, and as the thoughts go, so goes the character. 3. The alchemy of setback. The author sees failure not as an epitaph, but as a crucible. In any great story, the hero is tested by devastating losses. These are the moments that forge them. A novel without conflict is boring and meaningless. Most people experience a setback and think, the story is over. The author experiences a setback and asks, how does the hero respond? How does this event reveal their true character? How can this challenge unlock their next level of strength? This is the art of reframing. You are not the victim of your plot. You are the architect of its meaning. That business failure wasn't my ending. It was the inciting incident for the real story to begin. 4. The curatorship of your circle. The author consciously chooses their influences. While you are the protagonist, your story is populated with a supporting cast, your friends, family, colleagues, and the information you consume. The author's mandate insists that you become a ruthless curator of this cast. Are the people around you allies who challenge and support you, or saboteurs who drain your energy and mock your ambition? Does the content you consume build your character or weaken it? Every person and every piece of information is either writing you into a better story or a weaker one. Choose your co-authors with extreme prejudice. 5. The ritual of the daily line. The author believes in the power of incremental, relentless progress. A novel is not written in one heroic burst of inspiration. It is written word by word, day after day. The author's mandate dismisses the myth of the grand gesture. True transformation is not an event. It is a process of accretion. It is the result of a daily, non-negotiable commitment to writing your line for the day, be it 30 minutes of learning, an hour of deep work, or one difficult conversation. This consistency builds narrative momentum. Greatness is a mosaic of 1,000 unremarkable, disciplined days. Part 4. The author's forge principles into practice. A philosophy is useless if it remains an abstraction. It must be lived, practiced, and embodied. This process begins with a deep, unflinching self-inventory. Consider this your diagnostic phase. Ask yourself the following questions, and write down the answers without judgment. The protagonist audit. In the movie of your life, are you the protagonist who initiates action and drives the plot forward? Or are you a supporting character, providing commentary and reactions to choices made by your boss, your partner, your circumstances? What percentage of your last week was spent proactively creating versus passively reacting? The script analysis. Whose script are you living by? Identify 3 major life decisions you have made. Were these decisions derived from your own core values, or were they written by the script of parental expectation, societal pressure, or cultural norms? Are you living your own story, or a sequel to someone else's? The antagonist inventory. What is the primary villain in your story right now? A hero is defined by the quality of their antagonist. Name your dragon. Is it the habit of procrastination? The fear of judgment? The limiting belief that you are unworthy? Give it a name. The dragon of doubt. The beast of complacency. You cannot defeat an enemy you will not identify. The creation calculus. On a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is pure consumption and 10 is pure creation, what was your size with intention? This hour is a declaration to the universe that you are the priority, the most powerful act of self-authorship. Discipline 2. The evening ledger and the North Star. At the end of each day, take 10 minutes for a daily edit. Review the day not with judgment, but with an editor's eye. What worked in today's chapter? What actions moved the protagonist forward? Then perform the most critical step. Write a single sentence that will be the theme statement, the North Star for tomorrow. Tomorrow, the protagonist will act with courage. Tomorrow's theme is disciplined focus. You are setting the narrative intention for the next chapter before it begins. Discipline 3, the weekly hunt. Once you have named your primary villain, you must schedule a weekly confrontation. You must actively do something that weakens it. If your dragon is procrastination, you complete one dreaded task first thing on Monday. If it's fear of judgment, you share one idea in a meeting. You prove to yourself week by week that the dragon is not invincible. You hunt it. It does not hunt you. Part 5. The author's legacy, a story worth reading. As you begin to practice this philosophy, the focus shifts from simply improving your own life to something far grander. This journey is ultimately not about accumulating more success or wealth. These are simply byproducts of a well-written story. The true purpose is about legacy. When the final page is turned and the book of your life is closed, what will its story have been about? What was its theme? Was it a cautionary tale of squandered potential? A thin, forgettable pamphlet of a life lived in the shallows? Or will it be a timeless epic of resilience, courage, and self-creation? Will it be a story that inspires its readers, your children, your community, those who come after, to pick up their own pens? The universe is not waiting for your potential to be discovered. Destiny is not a state to be found, but a verdict to be delivered by you. The transformation you ache for begins not when the setting changes, but in the quiet, sacred, and infinitely powerful space of a single conscious decision. It is the decision to stop waiting for a hero and to start becoming one, sentence by sentence. The decision to fire the ghostwriters of fear, doubt, and societal expectation. The decision to take full, radical, and terrifying responsibility for the narrative of your life. The decision to pick up the pen, right now, in this very moment, and write the next sentence with unwavering intention. The blank page is not a void to be feared. It is a summons to be answered. The story of humanity is an anthology, and a space has been reserved for your contribution. Do not leave your pages blank. Pick up the pen. Be the hero you have been waiting for.